This episode of Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 source of games and gaming accessories, and by GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source of Magic the Gathering news and articles. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Here's another episode of Playing on a Budget. This episode, as requested, I had a person request if we can do a blue-red Shrapnel Blast or Artifact deck, and this is actually listed, I found while scouring the internet for, top finishes, decks that have done well. There is a Scuttling Doom Engine Shrapnel Blast deck that is going around in MTGO, but it is kind of like a glass cannon. If you shut down a lot of the early ways to get out a fast Scuttling Doom Engine, it kind of just fizzles out. It's very, very vulnerable to any sort of counter magic, and aggro a lot of times can just bulldoze it. So I was pleasantly surprised to find this list that does not use Scuttling Doom Engine or Chief Engineer and does still use Shrapnel Blast. I made a few edits to it because the list itself seemed a little bit excessive on some of the numbers of cards they use. But anyway, before we go over exact list here, we'll go to our sponsors here by CoolStuffInc.com. Your place to actually buy the singles. We'll go over the prices here. Again, this is Playing on a Budget, and what that means is we've set a $100 budget. So this is our $100 budget here. This is actually going to cost right under 100. We did have to skim down on the Steam Vents because they are the most expensive card in the deck. So if you have the Steam Vents, feel free to actually add 2 more. I'm only running 2 in here because another Steam Vents would put us over our $100 budget. So anywho, we are going to be running 4 Temple of Epiphanies. Those are $7 a piece, and again, of course the Steam Vents, and then the Shivan Reefs. Unfortunately, we're in the blue-red, which the lands are typically more expensive in blue-red, as is a very popular combination in Modern and Casual. In fact, I think it is, if not the most played color combination, it's definitely up there in probably the top 3. So that's where the lands are quite expensive. The rest of the cards, though, are going to be rares that are basically under $3. You got Anger of Gods at $2.50 a piece. We're using 4 of them. Curse of the Swine, which I don't know how well this card's going to work out, but we're definitely going to try it out. With Anger of the Gods in here and Mizzium Mortars in here, I don't know if we have room for Curse of the Swine, but the original list has a bunch of them in here. And I think it's for the mono black list. I think it takes care of things that the Anger of Gods can't take care of, and then you can subsequently Anger of Gods and wipe the board clean of all the board tokens. Anyway, we have Ensoul Artifact, which is an uncommon, Hammer of Purphoros, which is another bulk rare at 50 cents. I think these come in against the control decks, as you can start sacking all your lands to make 3/3 dudes. Illusory Angel, which is uncommon at 75 cents a piece. Mizzium Mortars. So you can see this deck has a ton of control. We'll go ahead and bring up the actual list here. So let's give credit where credit is due. This is Masataka. He actually went 3-1 in a standard daily with this bad boy. So it has, again, this is going to be the list. So let's just check it out here. He has 3 Shrapnel Blasts. So this is going to be basically the win condition is being sacrificing Shrapnel Blast. The other way is going to be Illusory Angels. And you're going to use Ornithopter as the engine to get both of these online, either the Shrapnel Blast or the Illusory Angel. Good thing about the Angel is it dodges your own Anger of Gods, so you can actually mainboard Anger of Gods and not worry about destroying anything of yours. And then we have Ensoul Artifact that actually can turn in the Ornithopter into a 5/5 flyer. You also have the Darksteel Citadel, which can become a 5/5 indestructible. He's got other artifacts in here that you can still Ensoul, like Ratchet Bombs. All these have utilities: Elixir of Immortality, Ratchet Bomb, Hammer of Purphoros. So again, it's got mainboard Izzet Charm. It's got Negates in the sideboard. You can actually bring in Negates versus the control list or against mono black. He's got Essence Scatters. I don't know how I feel about Essence Scatters. I think the Dissolve is just a little bit better, because the things that you want to Essence Scatter usually being like the Polukranos or Desecration Demon, you can Essence Scatter those with a Dissolve, and you can be more utility against those matchups and actually Dissolve, like against the decks that use the Polukranos, you can actually Dissolve a Nisa or Dissolve like a Chandra. So I just think that the Dissolve is a little more powerful right now than Essence Scatter, especially with just how much removal, being the Curse of Swines and Magma Sprays and Shocks, and in my version I'm going to use Mizzium Mortars, that Essence Scatter is often more of a dead card than a useful card. So anyways, we're going to go over the list that I've created here. We're going to actually skim on lands because I'm going to run another indestructible artifact for the Ensoul Artifact being Darksteel Ingot. So now we have Darksteel Citadels and Darksteel Signets. That basically increases our odds of actually getting Ensoul Artifact on a pertinent target. I don't really like Ensoul Artifact on either Elixir of Immortality or Ratchet Bomb because you're going to actually want to sacrifice those. Ignite also helps us get into an overloaded Mizzium Mortars. Mizzium Mortars is a card that I think might actually be good at a 4 of. There's so many Nissa decks running around right now. The Jund Planeswalkers is very, very popular. We're starting to see a Bug Planeswalker that's extremely popular. And even clearing out tokens from Elspeth can be a thing. Like if Elspeth tokens can chump block your Darksteel Citadel and Ensoul Artifact all day long. And overloaded Mizzium Mortars can make quick work of that, and then you can subsequently kill the Elspeth. So I might actually end up putting some more copies of Mizzium Mortars in the sideboard. Shock is going to be in here for 2 reasons. Shock is a way you can actually get your Illusory Angel out, and is very good against the early aggressive like Goblin Rabblemaster decks. So it is a 4 of. I've kept it as a 4 of. The other list had 4 more Magma Sprays in the main board. And I think that's just overkill between Izzet Charms and Shocks. And then I am running 2 Mizzium Mortars, so I think that's plenty of early game stall. Plus we have Ratchet Bomb, we have mainboarded Anger of Gods, we have Illusory Angels that can just be roadblocks, we have Ensoul Artifacts on Darksteel Citadels, or Ornithopters that can be roadblocks. So I have cut out the Magma Sprays. They are in the sideboard against those decks. So anywho, I have kept the sideboard a little bit the same, kept the 4 Negates still in the sideboard. We have 2 Magma Sprays that I've put into the sideboard here. We have 1 Elixir of Immortality. He's running 2 main. I'm running 1 side. These are going to be, again, for the early aggressive decks as a way for you to stabilize. So I don't see a Goblin Rabblemaster being able to beat this deck. I mean, Anger of Gods is just a blowout against those type of decks. And with 4 of, access to 4 of, 2 in the main board, and then even Shocks and Izzet Charms are very good against that deck. So if there is one deck that this deck is definitely meant for, it is for the Goblin Rabblemaster deck. So again, I don't know how well Curse of Swine is going to work in this match. Well, let's just talk about the main board completely. Again, Ornithopter is mainly in here to get loose. It is going to be a target for Illusory Angel, Shrapnel Blast, and Ensoul Artifact. So there's plenty of ways to actually utilize the Ornithopter, so that's why there's 4 of. Of course, Darksteel Citadel can be Ensoul Artifact or Shrapnel Blast. My list is running Quicken. I think Quicken is very powerful. Quicken Anger of Gods, or Quicken Overloaded Mizzium Mortars, or Quicken Curse of the Swine. Instant speed on sorcery. Even Quicken into Divination is very powerful. I am cutting down 1 of Divination. I think between 3 Izzet Charms and 3 Divinations, there wasn't a spot for another one. And yeah, so I'm also cutting down to 23 lands. So Divination is going to be kind of the same slot as Darksteel Ingot. Again, maybe we do need that 4 of. I haven't played this deck yet, and 0 testing, so this will be a fresh start for me to exactly learn how this deck works. So definitely bear with me as I kind of work out the kinks. But I mean, I absolutely love the idea of this deck. And I'm hoping it's going to perform well. So the sideboard, of course, is pretty self-explanatory. You bring in more removal against the decks that need removal, and you bring in the control or the anti-control, like the anti-counter spells. Negating Elspeth is very good. Negating Nissa's, dissolves. Again, Curse of Swine kind of seems interesting. I think it's really in here for Desecration Demon. That's my guess. You can actually Curse of the Swine. You can't Curse the Swine and Mutavault is the problem because they're going to be activating on their turn. So again, that's what makes Divination pretty useful. Or not Divination, excuse me, Quicken. Quicken Curse the Swine can actually take care of those pesky Mutavaults. But I think it's everything, again, that the Anger of Gods can't get rid of. I guess a big one would be the Master of Waves. And if you actually exile the Master of Waves and make a 2/2 boar, all the tokens die. And they're stuck with just a 2/2 green. So I think that might be one of the reasons that it's in here. Maybe that is the reason he's running 4 of in the sideboard, because without like Rapid Hybridization, you could justify even using Rapid Hybridization over a Curse of the Swine if you're just worried about Master Waves, as it is a lot easier on the mana. And you could Rapid Hybridization your own Ensouled Artifact on a Darksteel Citadel or a Darksteel Ingot. So that's another card that we'll pull it up here so you guys can see what Rapid Hybridization is. Or even Turn to Frog would work. There's Rapid Hybridization, destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. That creature's control puts a 3/3 green frog lizard. So that's definitely an alternative to Curse the Swine. I kind of like it, actually. It's frog at 3/3 versus a 2/2, but I mean, this is gonna be 3 mana sorcery speed if you're just gonna get rid of one. But if there's multiple targets, you can actually get rid of multiple targets. So we'll play around with it and see if we actually like Rapid Hybridization more. And I mean, Rapid Hybridization still dies to Anger of Gods as well. So anywho, that is the list. Mr. Masataka ended up going 3-1 with it in a standard daily, so that's no joke. Anyway, again, he has gainsays in the sideboard. I think that hitting out just 2 decks out of the huge meta, especially when decks like the Jund Planeswalkers are so big right now, that I think that Dissolve works just the same as either Gainsay or Essence Scatter. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this list. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.